The capillaries help in exchange of material, but that is not possible if their walls are thick. So, they have thin walls and their function is they help in exchange of material. Like oxygen goes from arteries to cells and carbon dioxide moves from cells to the capillaries. Now, this exchange, oxygen will not move out of arteries because the walls are thick. It will happen only when it is in the capillaries, the blood is in the capillaries. So, from capillaries oxygen will move into the cells and from cells carbon dioxide will move into capillaries. In other words, we can also say that arteries break up into very fine vessels called capillaries which join together to form veins. So, it looks something like this. This is an artery. It is breaking up into capillaries which are joining together to form veins. Arteries, veins and capillaries. So, now you have understood how the network system of blood vessels helps in the transportation of material. Now, we come to the source of blood. There has to be, you see, when water also comes through pipes, through your taps, from somewhere it is coming. There has to be a source. In our body, what is the source of blood? Or in other words, what is the pumping organ? Pumping organ is heart. See, heart is a very important organ. Brain and heart and lungs, these organs are very important for our survival. So, they are called vital organs. And just like brain and lungs, heart also has to be well protected. Heart is found in the thorax, in the chest cavity, between the lungs, in the rib cage. It is of the size of a fist and its color is red and its tip points towards left side. It is not as if the whole heart is in the left side, but only the tip points towards the left side. And you are all the time aware of your heart because it is beating. Heart keeps beating all the time, all the 24 hours, even when we are sleeping, because their main function is to pump blood. All right, now coming to the internal structure of heart. Before that, we can also write down some main points about heart. It is of the size of your fist, red in color, well protected in rib cage. Now, this is about the external parts. Internally, heart is not like one room. Actually, it has 4 rooms or chambers. Now, why is it 4 chambered? Like this. These upper chambers are called arteria and the lower ones are called ventricles. Now, because diagrams are like mirror image, so this is left atria, this is right atrium. Atria is plural, atrium is singular. Similarly, this is left ventricle and this is right ventricle. Now, why are there 4 chambers? First of all, the size of the chambers is not same. Atria are smaller than ventricles and their walls are also thinner, while the ventricles are larger and their walls are thick. The advantage of 4 chambers is that oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood does not get mixed up. So, as a result, more oxygen gets supplied and it gives more energy to the animal. So, the birds and the mammals have 4 chambered heart, but all animals do not have 4 chambers. The reptiles have 2 arteria, but the ventricles are not completely 2. The septum or the demarcation between the 2 ventricle is not complete. There is an incomplete division of ventricle. So, many times we also say it has about 3.5 chambers, which in other words means that there is some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So, the system is not as efficient as in the case of birds and mammals, which are hot blooded animals. Hot blooded animals means that their body temperature does not get affected by the temperature of the environment. But in the case of frogs and fishes, which are cold blooded, and reptiles, which means their body temperature is in accordance to the temperature of the environment. The circulatory system is not so oxygen efficient, because fishes have only 2 chambers, 1 atrium and 1 ventricle, which means mixing of blood. Similarly, in the case of amphibians like frogs and toads, the artery are 2 all right, but ventricle is only 1. So, in the ventricle the blood gets mixed up. So, from this you must have understood how important is it to have 4 chambers. So, the deoxygenated blood comes to the right side, from right atrium it goes to ventricle, and then by pulmonary vein it goes to pulmonary artery it goes to lungs. Now, here there is a distinction, there is, you can say, an abnormality. Usually arteries carry oxygenated blood, but pulmonary artery is the only artery which carries deoxygenated blood, but it carries it to lungs, where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide will take place. So, you can remember that pulmonary artery is the only artery that carries deoxygenated blood. Similarly, pulmonary vein is the only vein which carries oxygenated blood. Pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood. So, from the lungs, pulmonary vein bring oxygenated blood to the left atrium. So, oxygenated blood is always on the left side and deoxygenated is on the right side. Right side receives blood and the left side supplies blood to all parts of the heart, of the body. This is the story of your heart, and not generally the way we use the word heart, right. So, heart is very important because it pumps blood, and only because of that energy is released and life is sustained.